I've, I will tell you right now, I have lost track with how much I have talked all things wrestling this week alone across NoDQ, Championship Network, my channel, other platforms, and now I finally am back, and this is a long time coming, with you, brother, too. So welcome everybody to this. I titled it, but honestly, it's just a simple take on all things wrestling in this stupendous, mega, gigantic WrestleMania weekend where all the companies have come together and delivered on all fronts. So with that being said, you know what this is. If you haven't already, allow me to introduce you. For I am the Simple Man, and my name is Noah Foster, and with me is one of my great friends in all things professional wrestling. He has teams in all things wrestling. He is all things wrestling. He is Team All Elite at this moment, but he is in general the All Elite Hitman. One of my best friends, Mark the Reviews Griffith. Mark, how are you this evening as we prepare for night 2 of WrestleMania and finally the conclusion of this insane professional wrestling weekend?
Man, what a weekend. Like honestly, we could spend all day just talking about this weekend. The whole day.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely game busters what we've been through. I mean, I'm not sure how much you've watched, but in context, I've watched NJ Lone Star, the Super Card of Honor, the Multiverse of Matches, the WWE Hall of Fame, last night's WrestleMania, and here we are to talk about maybe this too as we finally get to the end of this weekend. But in the more words of JR, as I have a hat in the corner, good God Almighty, what the heck, dude? Wrestling Euphoria. This has been absolutely insane. Before we get down maybe
Yeah.
to like some of your favorite moments, thoughts, matches, maybe your takeaways so far and what you think is ahead tonight, I do want to, of course, own up to my word. And like you, as I already clearly alluded to before we went on video, here's an update for everybody regarding all the leagues. And thank you so much joining in the fun. I hope you found something worthwhile in your professional wrestling weekend too. I want to first start off by highlighting NXT Stand and Deliver. Congratulations, Mark, to you, Ashley, and King Kieta. You all won that event, each with 6 points. The No DQ team, not so great, but congrats to the Cleaver, Colin, Andrew, Mikey T, and Son Goshaku that each took the night themselves with 5 points. As I move on from there into the multiverse of matches, it was the Holiday Christopher Mace that is now the new Team Impact Predictions League champion. I'm sorry, Scott, you have been dethroned, and you will defend your title, Chris Mace, and I wish you and your family all the best at Rebellion. And again, great job by everybody who participated here, and I hope you all had a great time too. And last but not certainly not least, I'm so happy to have started this new league. And again, honor is for sure damn real and back, unless you ask Jay Lethal. But congrats to Charlene, Claudia, my brother in ATW King A Train, and me. We each got a perfect night with 8 points. And I'm very excited to see
Wow.
what's ahead in Ring of Honor when it comes to the next big pay-per-view event. And thank you again, everybody who's been participating. As far as WrestleMania goes, though, we are just halfway through that two-night stupendous extravaganza, whether you thought part of it was stupid or not. And so far, it looks like pretty much we're pretty even across the board. A lot of sixes, a lot of fives. So again, everybody, good luck tonight in the conclusion of this stupendous weekend. And also, it looks like so far there's a few fight. Nobody had a perfect night, which really surprised me. And then again, I think Charlotte Flair beating Ronda Rousey just threw everybody's game off. But kudos to what everybody's done so far, and I'm glad the New Day seem to have gotten their match. And again, Colin, I have showed that. And also, on behalf of Colin, Mark, he hopes that you're doing well, man.
Doing good. What's up, Colin?
Follow the Cleaver Con Andrew folks on YouTube. Colin, one of these days you and I need to get back together, do some prime cuts as a duo too. Heck, if you had time, I would send you the link right now and you could join in the fun too. I'm pretty sure this pre-show is going to be more worthwhile than WrestleMania's. But with that being said, Mark, I've jabbered on enough. I've updated enough. I've definitely prophesized my fandom enough. Let's get right into your mind and your thoughts on this absolutely insane wrestling weekend. So let's start with the very beginning. You again, I think Ring of Honor has the deepest roots in when it comes to my friends with you. Tony Khan has brought his first show under his booking in Ring of Honor's Light 2. And I would say already we got 2 Match of the Year candidates, and wow, what an ending. Give me your thoughts just briefly on Supercar of Honor. What did you think?
I couldn't have asked for anything better. Like if, every aspect, and I hate giving perfect scores. I really do. But on a scale from 1 to 10 for me, Supercar was a 10. I mean, like, I'm a Briscoes fan, so the Briscoes and FTR match was just amazing for me. But it left more questions than answers because now that they don't have the Ring of Honor titles, what happens now? Because they're not contract. I mean, they don't have a contract right now. So, where do they go from here? They were attacked by the Young Bucks, and but they're obviously getting ready to start a program with FTR. We're going to see Bucks versus FTR 2 this week. But long story short, the event was great, man. I think seeing Samoa Joe was definitely one of the highlights of the weekend. Um, just man, I can't give that event enough praise. Like honestly, I was really impressed.
Yeah, absolutely, top to bottom. You had a hybrid wrestling opener with Zayn and Swerve that definitely kicked off the night hot. And let me not deny the people that competed on the 0 hour, including the return of Boom Boom Cabana. And of course, we have a new franchise in Tully Blanchard Enterprises where renewed Brian Cage beat the living daylights and suplex him into the next time zone, Ninja Mac. And again, I said it before. I thought nothing could ever surpass what we saw at AEW Revolution with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and freaking Heyman and Page. The Briscoes and FTR did that for me. That right there, I have to say it, is my greatest tag team professional wrestling match of all time. Match of the Year candidate, possibly for 2022. Oh, I completely agree. Cleaver here says, I called your return to Ring of Honor as soon as Tony announced he bought it. I mean, again, you talk about the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame. Who was in that inaugural class? Rightfully so, Samoa Joe. As Tony, botch. Well, I understand, Jake Collin. And like you said, Willow Nightingale, a hell of an effort against Mercedes Martinez. We have a new Ring of Honor Pure Champion, Wheeler Yuta, that is definitely continuing to prove more and more, especially to one, William Regal, that he is trying to be a better professional wrestler. And I cannot get over enough what Jonathan Gresham and Bandito took out on each other and pulled out of one another in the name of honor to claim the undisputed Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championship. And I don't think I'm ever going to see a greater move than that 60-second suspended vertical suplex. Bottom line, the Supercar of Honor right now, I think is my favorite pay-per-view, literally because it was pay-per-view, so far this year. It was absolutely perfect, top to bottom. I have
It
not
was
a
good,
single
man.
flaw or complaints. My
And
God.
even the match, Liam Moriarty and Jay Lethal. I mean, the performance out of both of them were great. I mean, I didn't expect the Lethal heel turn like you brought up, but either way, it works. I mean, it was great, man.
Yeah, and now we got a dishonorable Lethal that wants the Ring of Honor Championship, and he's got Sanjay Dutt in his corner. What? The franchise going against Honor? Honor no more? That's something to think about. I was shocked. The air got sucked out of the billion during that too. And Lee Moriarty literally was it was like Jay Lethal looking at a mirror at a younger version of himself because he was getting out
Yes.
wrestled every move to the point he didn't know what to do. So he finally broke his code of honor and he got the win too. And did he
Mm-hmm.
regret it? As we found out later that night, no. Again, he's been faking. Right now, he is desperate, it seems, to try and bring something back to his legacy. And it looks like he's going to have a brand new chapter to deal with in Ring of Honor. But now he's got to go through Samoa Joe. What?
Yeah, I do remember Jay Lethal saying on a backstage segment on AEW, I think he said somewhere along the lines of "Wait till you see what happens next." And I don't know if this is what he was referring to, but he's definitely got an interesting road to travel now. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Yeah, no kidding. FTR Bucks 2 on Wednesdays going to Rock. Just wonder if the Bucks head will be in the game after what we saw on Saturday at WrestleMania. I absolutely love the fact that competition breeds greatness because you are forcing yourself to push your mind, your creativity, and your product harder. And at the end of the day, we fans win no matter what. Again, everything came underneath WrestleCon, Dallas, Texas, this wrestling umbrella. Like I said, I watched NJ Lone Star where Tomohiro Ishii had an absolute war against Chris Dickinson, who on GCW's Bloodsport 8, including matches by Marina Shafir and Zeta Zing, and a classic blood feud with John Moxley and Biff Biscuit, just to highlight some other stuff I saw in all things wrestling. Chris Dickinson came up short against Stone Pit Bull, but won in a pancrase match against against Minoru Suzuki. And Minoru Suzuki, he had the debut match with Killer Cross, calling him an effing young boy. Whoa. And Minoru Suzuki claims his first ever piece of championship gold here in America, beating Brett Titus for the Ring of Honor Television Championship. And finally, we're getting Ishii versus Suzuki at freaking Chicago, Windy Riot, hosted by New Japan Pro Wrestling, put that title on the line as far as I'm concerned. John Moxley with one emphatic message about passion and proving himself and his professional wrestling, putting his pride and soul on the line against Will Ospreay. So much was hyped
Dream
up,
match.
so much came out. Dream matches galore happened already, emotional moments, and we're only talking about one show, so let's go ahead and focus a little bit on the next thing that was definitely on the biggest thing this weekend. Is there enough things we could say about the headliner of this year's Hall of Fame and The Undertaker? And what a nice, simple class and presentation as I wear the red and black because I always think it's Vader time, and that's always been one of my favorite big men to destroy people in this industry. But the fact we had 8 minutes of pure just appreciation, non filtered by the WWE Universe for The Undertaker, absolutely immortal moment when you think about the 30 years this man gave to this business. Me being 30 years old, been through and seen it all. There's not enough we could say, and there will be no career ever to match what The Undertaker did for the WWE. Mark, your thoughts on the Hall of Fame in general?
And I know a lot of people were worried because they were hoping that Taker would get his own night, and when it was came out that he obviously wasn't with the Steiners and Vader and Queen Shamel, I'm glad they gave him the time that they did. Uh, the 5 minute pause to where you just felt the love from the crowd that where Taker didn't say a word. And I remember I was so tired that night and I could barely hold my eyes open watching this at that point. And it was great, man. I'm glad they gave him that time. And even last night at WrestleMania, when they were introducing everybody on the stage, they played Taker's entrance, and I
Yes.
just think that they just went a little bit extra with Taker with everything, which they should have. And since he didn't get his own night, I'm glad that they gave him just a little bit of extra on everything when it came to the Hall of Fame last night, and it was great.
They literally gave him pretty much from start to bottom a whole hour, and the fact that Vince just brought out so much out of this man, and we saw the embrace, and we heard the first two words Undertaker said, or excuse me, Mark Cowie said when he got in the ring, "I love you." I was like, okay, that's freaking real. Again, there's been every emotion: anger, what the fuck, happiness, pure delight, excite, surprise, humility. It's just been an absolutely incredible weekend for professional wrestling. And again, that Shad Gaspar thing, that definitely hit me freaking hard. God bless that man. And again, a real legacy, lead by example that every father can definitely take to heart. And I wish that kid all the best. All right, and again, Vader, freaking out. I'm surprised Scott Steiner did not go off the rails, but I guess now we know that Macho Man Randy Savage can talk to cows. Although I'm pretty sure we're
This
not
is
talking
true.
about the animal. That's damn true. Oh
Yes.
gosh. Uh, that being said, before we talk about another show that happened, AW Rampage, I love the way they're forming the Owen, another guy we hold near and dear, and you could talk more about this than anybody, I feel like, because again, when it comes to the hearts, dude, you are the all elite hitman. As we saw, the Owens finally taking form. Tony Storm now part of AEW. Incredible match with the Bunny. Hey, Allie. And then, hey, Sky Blue, she brought it Jamie Hayter. This women's Owen is really shaping up, and they're definitely putting a lot of power and a lot of TV time into it. I respect that. Very curious to see what men might be a part of this, too. And according to Samoa Joe, he's out for it all. Did we just get our first battle pick for the Owen? Your thoughts so far on how you think the Owen is shaping out and who you hope to see maybe be in it?
I'm looking forward to it. It's a shame I didn't wear my Owen Hart hat today. A lot of times I do end up wearing it, but I didn't wear it today. Um, but I think that look at the time and what they put into just the qualifying match. We got a graphic, we got a week build up to a qualifying match. So I'm thinking like, man, they're probably going all out here. And Martha Hart is not the easiest person to get along with. I mean, I don't know personally, obviously, but I'm just saying, she has a lot of faith in everything that they do when it comes to Owen and his name. And for Tony to be able to get to this point with her and have the relationship with her to be able to do this is great, man. We because at one point we were worried that we would never be able to get to live and experience those memories with Owen, and now we're able to. They've come to some type of deal where they're doing this, and I'm looking forward to it. And it looks like Tony's going to put a lot into this, man. And as far as people that are going to be in it, I think Davey Boy Harry Smith. He's in a tag team in the NWA, the Commonwealth. I think he looks good, man. And I would I'd like to see him at least be a part of it. I'd like to see Pillman Jr. be a part of it.
Oh, definitely.
Um, yeah, there's just a few people that I'd like to see a part of it, and Samoa Joe, he's after everything, man. So whether it's a title, whether it's an Owen Hart tournament, he's here. So he'd be a good candidate.
Yeah, and again, I'm curious how far this reach out goes for the owner. Well, again, congrats to Tony Storm, by the way. Welcome to All Elite Wrestling. That's the happiest I've ever seen her, and I'm sure her OnlyFans fans are very excited too. Starting, of course, start of the Cinderella tournament. I'm looking forward to that. In general, folks, support women's wrestling. And it wouldn't surprise me if Marina Shafir finally hands Chicago her first loss, because the problem is going to be the biggest problem on Jade Cargill's hands very soon. And like you said, the Young Bucks, can they become double champions once again? How they went from full on heels, talking about we bought Ring of Honor, we also competed here too. I was like, okay, now you're playing both sides of the script. Great competitive opener against Top Flight as well, and of course Team Taz and Swerve and Lee, they continue to feud too. It's just everything in wrestling moving around. And speaking of moving around, you talk about them boys. Them boys been all over the place this weekend alone. The new, and I love the new titles, by the way, minted GCW Red Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Drost, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, and as we enter the multiverse, it was Bullet Club's last chance to claim a victory that night. It was the Good Brothers that did beat them boys in the main event. Like you said, them boys right now, the future is unknown. They aren't signed anywhere. So I'm very curious to see what's next with them. But when you figure about tag team wrestling, the premier company right now is AEW. But with Ring of Honor now under AEW's umbrella, because it's owned by Tony Khan, I would think that'd be the first team you would put the back of Ring of Honor on. But courtesy FTR has the titles too. And honestly, if the Briscoes and FTR gets revisited, it needs to be on pay per view, because my God, that match. But
I'm man.
what do you hope to see from the Briscoes maybe next?
This is the thing. They are the current Crockett Cup champions. They're
That's
the
right.
current GCW champions. And this is the thing. I don't know where I heard this from, and I wasn't even gonna say it because I can't remember the source. I heard that they have a few Impact dates coming up. I'm not 100% sure, but I know I heard it. I just don't know where I heard it from. You got to think that they're going to be involved with NWA, being, they just won the Crockett Cup. So
Yeah.
um, I think they got that standing ovation, and FTR did what they did as far as laying the belts there and give them the props and the respect after the match, because their future is very uncertain. And with Jay's controversies, whatever the case may be, with the tweet, I understand AEW, but to kind of push them out, I'm not saying push them out of Ring of Honor, is just, it's going to leave a bad taste in some people's mouths, man. You got to think, it's like if somebody bought WWE and they released The Undertaker. It's just, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I understand business is business. The same owners that were overseeing the Briscoes in Ring of Honor aren't the owners anymore.
Right.
This is a completely different company with completely different principles, and they're going to be doing things a completely different way. And we don't have all the answers yet. And that's the thing. We don't know if it's going to be a regular company or if it's going to be developmental. Is it something that the Briscoes can be involved in? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and find out. But I do think that they have a future in whether it's Impact or NWA, and they're not going to be sitting home not making any money. We will see the Briscoes one way or the other.
I feel like them boys are far from done when it comes to tag team wrestling. But after that nod of respect and honoring them Briscoes, giving them the ring, it really does make you wonder, was that the Briscoes' last match in Ring of Honor? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Things going on in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Of course, we had Zack Sabre Jr. win the New Japan Cup. He will be facing Rainmaker Tsuchika Okada on a show they're calling Hyper Battle, I believe, where 6 championships will be defended. As a lead NJPW correspondent and Professional Wrestling Noah friend, hello, Elizabeth. She's been giving a couple thoughts here. You may laugh when I say this. In a non-televised event for New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiromu and Bushi beat Evil and Dick Togo with Evil's finishing move once again. April 9th is going to be wild. Yeah, Hiromu in Evil's head, literally using everything as Hiromu. I think it's more fed than everything is Evil. Can Hiromu restore honor to the Never Weight Championship, a title with no limits, and relieve it from the clutches of the House of Torture? Can El Desperado stop the madness that is Show and prevent him from claiming the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship? By God, I hope so. Can't believe Jay White lost to Chris Sabin. Watch Sabin since 2002. Biggest victory since 2013, in my opinion. But before we talk about the multiverse match, which definitely is next, hello, Gabriel. I hope you're doing well. And folks, thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Follow us on Twitter. We'd love to engage with you. At the end of the day, we're just enjoying life and enjoying professional wrestling too. And as Gabriel wants to go ahead, I'll go ahead and put that up. My favorite match is Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair, Ronda, and Stone Cold. Let me do my JR. Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Stone Cold Steve Austin match last night. Oh, we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. But that being said, forget about NJPW. Again, we got the Windy City Riot Show coming up here. We got John Moxley, Will Ospreay, Tomoyo Ishii, Minoru Suzuki. The next US of J Open Challenge, where beforehand he will be facing Hikuleo on Mutiny, because again, GOD's out Bullet Club, and I still can't believe that's a freaking thing. Again, everything in the world of professional wrestling is moving in such a weird direction. You don't know what's going to happen next. Mickey James competing in GCW, for Pete's sake.
You're right. You're right.
Also noticed that in recent matches, Eva has been acting a little differently than his hot mates. There's feelings that he could return to LIJ soon. You're actually that possibly happening. Well, I'm sure Milano Collection AT would be extremely happy. Again, I have not felt like we've seen the same caliber of professional wrestler out of Evil since he joined Bullet Club, let alone became part of this identity in House of Torture, where every match the same thing. Turnbuckle pad off, Abe-san gets his table run over him on his
Yeah.
face. Low blow, refs outplays, Garrett by Dick Togo. Evil somehow wins with a low blow, lame brain finish. So yeah, maybe Evil realizes, okay, maybe I shouldn't be complacent. Or maybe we're putting
I
more
don't.
stock into that than we want to think.
I don't think there's no way you can trust Evil again, man. And I'm just keeping a storyline. There's no way, man.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the House of Torture. We've seen what he's done for so long, man. And it's just like if you've ever had to go up against Evil, you know. So I don't think there's any way that Lij could trust Evil again, man. Just keeping it storyline.
I completely agree. Right now, I think LIJ is in the best form it's been in a long daggum time. And Naito, as always, tranquilo. Although I am curious what's next for him, and we'll find out soon enough. As the United Empire now is fighting here on American soil and NWW Strong, along with AEW stars like the Factory and Rocky Romero. Rocky's been busy in Impact Wrestling. Again, parts moving all over the place. But speaking of Impact Wrestling, Mark, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about this supercard we had at the Multiverse of Matches? Good grief.
That's exactly what I wanted to tell you. And this is the only event this weekend. I've seen every single show, but I have not watched the full multiverse of matches. I know the results, but I did not get to watch them. So I was going to tell you in the beginning, once we get to the multiverse of matches, you're going to have to take over at this point. So anything you could tell me, it's going to be entertaining to me too, because it'll be the first I heard. All I know about this event is solely the winners and losers. That's it.
Well, Blake Christian, he is all heart and he's bloody insane. He literally nearly killed himself, and we had a pop-up Fan Destroyer spot in the Ultimate X match. Alex Shelley and Mike Billy, they tried to rival what Alex Shelley did with Jay White, and to a degree, I think it delivered. And once again, Alex Shelley, he fell short. Speedball Mike Billy, who almost, I thought, literally destroyed his knees off the 450 moonsault. Ouch. Somehow got the freaking win. In the Knockouts Fatal 4-Way, two teams basically was setting up, of course, the upcoming Knockouts title match of Rebellion, which we know will be, of course, Tasha Steelz defending against former Knockouts champion Rosemary. And stay tuned, folks. The simple, impactful duo, me and Jerry Slayer, will be back to preview and predict Rebellion. Mark, maybe we need to make it a trio. Maybe you should join in too. That being said, of course, the influence, meh. They retain the titles over a very game. I like the way this team's forming. Giselle, Shaw, and Lady Frost. Competition breeds, I feel like, respect and a good cohesion. They were pretty strong here working together. Love their entrance, too. And, of course, my girls, the inspiration. Dang it! Cassie Lee get well soon. Cassie Lee's not mega clear to compete, which is why Jessamine McKay was the singles in the Battle Royale. But I have a feeling the inspiration will be back soon enough, and I hope they reclaim their gold because Cassie Lee is one of my personal favorites, along with the Bunny. Also, of course, we had, like Elizabeth alluded to, Chris Sabin, Jay White. Chris Sabin pushed Jay White even further, I feel like, than Alex Shelley. And Alex Shelley was Jay White's freaking mentor. And Chris Sabin, once again, proves why he is Impact Wrestling and one of the best damn wrestlers in this company's history, pulling the win out over the Switchblade in no controversial fashion. There's nothing Jay White can say. But we also know that Steve Macklin has a personal vendetta against all of that Team Impact that thought he was the traitor. Of course, we learned who it was. And then he went for the post-match attack till Jay White put him off. and then low blow the man and got out of the ring, but Macklin stood up immediately. I think Jay White just picked a fight with the wrong guy. Mayhem's ahead for the leader of Bullet Club. We'll see how he breathes with that. Deonna Purrazzo defend the AAA title in the Open Challenge against the very person she took it off of that started the formation of the champ in the first place, Fabe Apache. And this time there was no controversial circumstance with the referee. Of course, we had a submission victory, and Deonna Purrazzo retained. But then she learned once and for all who's challenging her for that crown at Rebellion. La Wera Loca, the former longest reigning Knockouts champion, is back in Impact Wrestling, Taya Valkyrie, and she looks happier than ever. I cannot wait to see this first time clash. As Deonna Purrazzo now knows who challenges for both her crowns, as she's got Taya Valkyrie at Rebellion for the AAA. Mercedes Martinez did to be determined for the undisputed Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. NWA finally came underneath Impact Wrestling as Botch. Nick Aldis tagged with his wife, Mickie James, to take on the Cardonas. I'm, of course, talking about Matt Cardona, the current NWA 10 pounds of gold World Heavyweight Champion after controversial circumstance at the Crockett Cup, to say the least. And, of course, his wife, and I love me a hot mess, but Chelsea Green. In the end, those two fell short and had to tap out to a double clover leaf. It was a game battle, though. I really liked how Mickie James clashed for a bit with Matt Cardona. Again, Mickie can fight anybody. And Chelsea Green, you should know better than to ever try and buck up against Nick Aldis. A man with so much class, but he will kick your ass if you push him the wrong way. She learned that. And now it looks like we might have a battle maybe of Matt Cardona and Nick Aldis. Imagine if they make that rematch for Rebellion for the NWA 10 pounds of gold. And it sounds like Chelsea Green and Mickie James are about to prove who the craziest bitch is, probably in a wild-ass singles counter to come, and I personally can't wait. Can you imagine if we have Laura Van Ness versus 2006 Mickie James? Oh, Lord. Eddie Edwards, of course, represented on No More and not Impact Wrestling, but his former employee in professional wrestling, Noah, against my guy. That's right. Tomohiro Ishii, the Stone Pit Bull, who was not taking any breaks at all this weekend, like Minoru Suzuki. And in the end, Tomohiro Ishii, he proved why he is the Stone Pit Bull. You have to kill me to beat me, and Eddie Edwards failed at that. And why Tomohiro Ishii has Jonah, I cannot believe that, Jonah at Rebellion. It was Tomohiro Ishii that got the victory at the Multiverse of Matches. I'm so damn happy for the Stone Pit Bull. I still think he should be never openweight champion, but that's just me. And we already talked about the Good Brothers and them boys. And honestly, I was surprised this main evented because I would think you would focus on, I don't know, your Impact World Championship picture, which is why I talked about this match for last. As unlikely alliances were formed as Moose, tagged with PCO, who definitely is not human, took on the duo of Josh Alexander and Jonah. Of course, these two beat the living shit out of each other back at Hard to Kill, I believe. And of course, we know Josh Alexander got the win. Again, competition breeds respect. Maybe a one-off. We'll have to wait and see. As Jonah's been trying to put down PCO, but has been unable to, even in a cinematic parking lot brawl in the back of the 2300 arena. And this came ahead here. In the end, though, Moose at one point tried to literally take the head off Josh Alexander, like he took the waist out from his wife. I still can't believe Moose did that. Damn. Jay, get well soon. She's a tough woman. She'll be fine. But, of course, in the end, we saw statement made. Josh Alexander, C4 spite to PCO, who, of course, immediately got up after the match was over, because can you put PCO and injury in the same sentence and actually make it sound legit? I don't think you can. And that was the Multiverse of Matches as we head towards Rebellion. And again, Mark, holy shit, what a show.
Yeah, I'd like to say that they put the Briscoes on last because they had to go from that match with FTR over to where the venue was. And maybe, they tried to give the Briscoes a little time to breathe. But they took back-to-back losses.
Yeah, again, a rough week. And again, they won the GCW titles, but then 2 back-to-back losses, including the Ring of Honor tag titles. And that had to be the toughest match for them this whole weekend, bar none.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's got some news on the Noah show. On the Noah show I watched this morning, an interesting match was announced as Hyo and Nia, I apologize if I screwed that up, will battle with the loser having to give up his current name. Ooh. Well, they are 2 people with 4-letter names, and again, if you lose your identity, that's definitely something that you're really going to have a hard time to live with. I mean, look at what happened when Minoru Suzuki lost his hair to Hiroki Gold in that Neverweight Championship match. I don't think he's ever lived that down, and he's become even more dangerous. And again, Minoru Suzuki has wrestled over 2 1,000 matches, and looks like there's no rust or any slowdown for him at all. And I dare someone to say that to his face and live to tell the tale. I certainly won't. Bleh. But that being said, that was the multiverse of matches as we move into Saturday. And at this point, Mark, I don't know what they're going to call these shows. They're not Takeover. You think about Level Up. Are they going to stick with the video game thing? Maybe EXP, like NXT Experience? But I will say, for a show that did not have a lot of identity put into it or hype, when it came to the in ring quality, despite a couple of botches, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit, especially in that ladder match, everyone really, I think, delivered that night. As it was, of
Yeah,
course, NXT Stand Delivered. Apologies, I have an outdated graphic. Botch. We're, of course, in the kickoff show, and I still don't know why they did this. Out of nowhere, Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai became the new, once again, NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, courtesy of Winnie Chu, who I guess woke up out of a coma. But moving on from that, because again, kickoff doesn't matter. This show, for me, definitely surprised me. One, that moment. Ciampa, Triple H. Was I not looking at the cerebral assassin of NXT this last 7 years telling us goodbye? Whether or not he continues in WWE or not is anybody's guess. And again, Triple H, thank you for your career. I wish you all the best. And then Braun Breaker, again, his Steiner brothers, again, fun speech. They got inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he came up short. Dolph Ziggler retained. I couldn't believe that. And that ladder
yeah.
match, Karen Grimes, he went to the moon in the name of his father. I should have thought about that cinema favorite. And I thought everybody in that ladder match really impressed me, including outside parties that are trying to help their clients, from that giant bodyguard to Elektra Lopez to Legado Fantasma to Trick Williams, who saved Camilla Hayes from Grayson Waller, who may have went viral but probably broke his arm in the process. Give me some of your thoughts regarding NXT Stand and Deliver.
It was great, and please, we need to send LA Knight to the main roster immediately. I mean, he's outgrown NXT in under a month. I mean, under a year. I think
Yeah,
he's ready. But as far as the ladder match goes, that was great, man. And that was those young competitors. That was their WrestleMania. That was their time to shine. They were probably wrestling in front of the most people they probably ever have, and it was go time. And they definitely put it on the all on the line. And I was actually I was surprised I actually got that one right. I did pick Cameron Grimes to win it because
thank
him
you.
involving his yeah, him involving his dad and saying I just thought like, man, they're highlighting that story. They're not going to highlight that story for nothing. So I felt like there's something was going to come out of that, and it did, as far as Grimes winning. The tag match surprised me because I really thought Imperium was going to retain. And when they lost, I was thinking, is this Imperium's time to maybe go to the main roster? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's time or not, but putting the belts back on MSK, I didn't really understand it. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying it was the wrong move. I just didn't really understand it. And so I just feel like there's something more behind that. So I don't know if Imperium's going to the main roster or not, but I wouldn't be against seeing Imperium and Gunther go to a Raw or a SmackDown. But as far as the rest of the show goes, Mandy retaining, man, she's become so much more of a star down at NXT now that she's down there. It's like a completely different Mandy, and
Definitely.
eventually we'll see that Mandy hopefully on Raw or SmackDown, and it'll be a whole another level for Mandy. And I almost feel like maybe a couple other main roster people could benefit from that as well. We were talking earlier on the chat, maybe Alexa Bliss, maybe she could go down there and do what maybe something similar to what Mandy's doing. But either way, Stand and Deliver was it impressed me and it surprised me and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can't deny it wasn't Takeover, but it was definitely something that took me back a little bit to my NXT. As we, again, the last stand of our NXT was in action as Ciampa fell short to Tony D'Angelo and his running mate, the brother, the cousin, or whoever you are. And again, Mandy Rose, that did surprise me. I thought they honestly maybe could have give Cora J her moment, especially at the entrance. Some of these entrances, by the way, nice production value, but it almost like it was two matches in one. It was Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai, more so founded on respect, or maybe who was crazier, and then you had Cora J and Mandy Rose that look like they're going to fight forever. And at this point, it
Yeah,
still feels like to me that Cora J will be the one to take off Mandy Rose, but it will be in one-on-one action. As far as the ladder
yeah,
match goes, I gotta say it. That probably was my match of the night. They gave that thing freaking 30 minutes, if that. Everybody went
Yeah.
ballistic. Freaking sunset flip powerbomb off the ladder for another ladder. Santos Escobar doing everything possible to try and put down Solo Sikoa. And again, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, they did everything they could to prove why they are the flagship of that division in NXT. And he came that close to retaining. Creed Brothers, though, Ohio represent, they came super close. A hell of an effort, but out of nowhere. And I have to admit, incredible counter to the European Bomb. MSK pinned the champs. I did not see that coming at all. And we still don't know necessarily who the mystery team is that's been going after the Creed Brothers, too. By the way, disclaimer, Ivy now, the future of the WWE. There I said it. I still think there are way too many vignettes that definitely make me think, okay, this is not my NXT. Stop doing that bullcrap. You're taking away from the wrestling. I hate that. We're going to talk about that at WrestleMania. I guarantee you that. As far as the main event, though, Braun Breaker, Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler sold the hell out of every one of those freaking near falls. But I really thought this was Braun Breaker's moment. I thought this was an all Steiner weekend to just own WrestleMania weekend. And again,
Yeah.
Braun Breaker's had that little bit of a taste of what the main roster experience is like. So, are they going to make this go out longer? Is Dolph Ziggler going to be the guy to lead maybe NXT and maybe really push the future? Is Braun Breaker on his way up? He's got the look, he's got the in-ring accurism, and again, this guy looks like he's been doing this for years. I can't believe how good this guy is in the friggin' ring. And again, maybe not the strongest mic game, but let's be honest, Scott Steiner, all he had to do was yell and you paid attention. So I really don't know right now what the future holds for Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
That match shocked me the most, more than anything else on this card. Of course, I saw Walter. I'm always going to say Walter. Of course, I saw Walter squishing LA Knight, but like I said, and like you said perfectly, LA Knight is ready to go to the other roster.
Ready.
He could speak, he could wrestle, he could definitely be an entertainer. We saw the segments he used to have with Dummy Yeah back in Impact Wrestling. We saw what he brought forward when he has been LA Knight so far in NXT, when he was the $1 Million champion, when they were trying to push that forward. So, again, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know necessarily what direction they're going with this NXT 2.0 yet. If anything else, they more so confuse me. The only thing that's definitive, Mandy Rose is still the leader of the women's division in this version of NXT.
Yeah, and I would like to add that ladder match. Do you remember? I don't know what takeover it was, but the ladder match with Ricochet, EC3, Adam Cole. You know which ladder match I'm referring to, right?
Yeah, New
Okay.
Orleans.
Okay, New Orleans. Okay. I feel like we always go back and look and see where those six superstars are now. And at one point outside of Lars, every one of them had went on and been pretty successful. I feel like those six guys that were in that ladder match, those are their top six guys. This was the showcase of showing people that, hey, this is our future. This is the six that we're rolling with. And I feel like in like 2 or 3 years, we're gonna look back at that ladder match and be like, hey, remember when it was Grayson Waller and da 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 da. That's what I think, and I think it was a good match, and that's what I think that's what's gonna happen.
I definitely think you're right. I will say this again. It comes down to booking, and again, when you're NXT, when you're indie, more particularly, you take that huge risk trying to thrive in this world of sports entertaining under the vision of one man, Vince McMahon. All the best to all of them. And shout out to my brother Pete. Go check out Pete's Peppers, folks. And happy Mania weekend to you too, man. With that being said, Mark, we pretty much covered everything at this point. As Mark Henry would allude to, it's time for our main event, or semi-main event, if we want to really think about we're doing both nights. As let's go ahead and break it down with what we saw last night. I mean, I'll admit, I was a little bit dumbfounded by some of the matches on this card. And besides what happened in the opener, and I still have questions regarding another match that I thought should be the close of the show, but I digress. I really freaking enjoyed this. If I'm honest, this was better than night one of last year's WrestleMania, especially because my child was brought back to life. So, that being said, holy hell, Mark, your thoughts on night one of WrestleMania. Was it stupendous enough for you?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, man, and I went into it thinking, okay, this is night one. I don't think it's going to be as good as night two, but we'll see what happens. There was over half the matches I could really care less. The bill sucked for most of it, so
Exactly.
I really wasn't that I really wasn't in that invested. But at the end of the day, it's WrestleMania. I'm willing to give everything a chance. The entrances were great. Everything seems like it's on a bigger stage, so I care more. So maybe there will be a tag match like the Usos versus Shinsuke and Boogs, and I might care about it because it's WrestleMania. And you know what? I did. And it seemed like every single match, like regardless of the build or not, I was into it. And we'll go over each match, I'm sure. But
Oh
I
yeah.
really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised, and I can't wait for night two now.
Yeah, I gotta admit though, but Night Two's got a hell of an act to follow, both from the professional wrestling and the entertainment standpoint. Because I'm not sure how you top off, especially that close to last night. Good luck, Brock and Roman, especially because this is the third encounter. People are like, "Oh, here we go again." But then again, this actually is the match with the most build, and both personas have turned their characters a complete
Yeah,
360 degrees. So
absolutely.
honestly, who knows what the perception might be? But that being said, you kind of alluded to it. Let's get right into it. Again, I feel so damn bad. Again, nobody's in this industry to intentionally cause pain on one another. You're there to perform, you're there to sell for the crowd, you're there to have a hell of a good time. The Usos, again, they're the ones. I fear they were going to win, but let's be honest, they call an audible here because Boogs, this was his moment. His was his WrestleMania debut. He really wanted to try and go out there. And with that Mark's Hard Lemonade sponsorship, I honestly thought maybe we would have had a shock of the century and Boogs Nakamura could win. Nakamura being no stranger to being his tag team champion. Hello, Cesaro, Claudio, wherever you are, all the best. This match for me, I was expecting more, but due to the injury, I kind of understand which way they went. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a shame. I at first I wasn't sure if it was part of the storyline and they were trying to cover up for a botch because when he had both of the Usos up, I just thought that maybe it was. I hope it wasn't serious. If it was real, and come to find out that it was, it's
Yeah.
a shame, man, because this was his moment. He was kicking off WrestleMania, and something like that happened. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and again, ACL, torn anything in your leg is no joke. You're out for months regarding that. Just ask Bailey, and we have no idea when she's coming back. So all I gotta say is Boogs, Bugenhagen, get well soon, my friend. And hey, kudos to Nakamura. It wasn't like it turned to WrestleMania 34 where he kicked him behind in the groin and turned heel again. Because honestly, heelish Nakamura, it really didn't go anywhere. It fell flat hard. He does not need to do that again. All the best to Boost. Congrats to the Usos. Again, still the ones. 230 plus days of SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And counting. Again, the Bloodline. And we're going to definitely talk about that. All right, let's just keep this short, sweet, and simple because honestly, this match right here, they did what they did based on the story, but this was my weakest match of the night. McIntyre and Corbin. Honestly, outside the tension that Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin might be brewing with each other, I really don't have anything else to say about this match. I'm just glad McIntyre won, and maybe that finally wiped the smile off Corbin's face for now. You have anything to say about this?
Yeah, just because I have a little bit of a I didn't. I watched it, but I didn't watch it. I was kind of doing things or whatever. I knew it was on. I didn't give it the time of day because I had already ruled this is probably the one that I cared the least about. But listen,
Same.
after the fact, I'm hearing people give their reviews and their thoughts on this. A lot of people were talking about how this was one of the better matches. I mean, like I said, I didn't give it the time of day, so that was kind of my own fault. But I heard a lot of people liked it. Apparently, Drew McIntyre was the first person to be the one to kick out at the end of days. The end of days
That
is
was the
one of the
spot.
most protected. Yeah, that was
Yep.
the most protective finisher outside of, you could say, RKO or whatever. But people have kicked out of RKO before. But this was the first time that anybody had kicked out of it, and Drew ended up winning, and that's pretty much all she wrote.
Yeah, again, besides that spot we kicked off in a days, it pretty much was a bit meh. That was probably the biggest pop of the match because honestly, again, and according to the way they were doing this saga, Happy Corbin has not lost since, well, winning the jackpot. Well, I guess his stock just plummeted or he went bankrupt because McIntyre Claymored his face in and then cut the top and middle rope and almost slit Madcap Moss down the middle. Bit overkill, you ask me. Maybe that's why we have more promos than wrestling. And then again, it's WrestleMania. You're selling the brand, not wrestling. But I digress. Again, kudos to McIntyre. This definitely was not Bad Bunny, but Logan Paul has potential to be quite a heel when it comes to character delivery and what he brings in the ring. Some good high risk moves, some good cross body suplexes, and in the end, it was the celebrity once again getting the spot. Miz and Logan Paul Rubens, a father son WrestleMania moment, but hey, hell of an effort by Mysterios. Love their entrance. But in the end, the A-lister, we've seen it with Big Show, R-Truth, John Morrison, Chris Jericho, insert name here. Everybody Miz has partnered with, he's stabbed in the back because at the end of the day, it's all about him. Hello, Damien Sandow. I would not be surprised to see Miz and Logan Paul turn into a feud, and actually, that might be quite entertaining too. But overall, your thoughts on this match? I thought this was okay for what it was.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think the entrances from the Mysterios, they were both draped out in their American and Mexican flag gear, and it was a shout back to Eddie Guerrero had worn something similar, so that was
Exactly.
cool. And I think the heat that Logan Paul was able to get from the three amigos, that was actually performed pretty nicely, and an even better frog splash, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Um, like I thought it was good. You can tell that he's got a lot of eyes on him. He's got a lot of fans, but he's still an outsider. And you can tell when he's in the ring that like I just don't know what he's gonna do next. You know what I mean? Because he's not a wrestling industry person. I don't feel like he's a diehard fan like a lot of us. So I'm not sure he's consumed a lot of content to really know. I mean, of course he's had training the last few months or whatever, but still, I just feel like it's like almost I don't want to say can't miss, but like I was really intrigued to see how he interacted with everything, how he communicated, whether things if he was a little stiff, if he was just and I think he did good, man.
Yeah, and again, with what we saw on the pre-show, Jake Paul getting definitely the most hated of the two, booed out of the actual AT&T Stadium
Yeah,
area, but also saying that, oh, I'll be with my brother, I'll fight him too. Oh, good lord, if we find both Pauls in
yeah,
WWE,
they're
okay. I don't know if you want that publicity, but
yeah, he's like a
yeah,
ticking time bomb.
yeah, not Hiromu Takahashi type of way either. Although that might be a mental case in itself. Again, that being said, it wouldn't surprise me to see Logan Paul around more. I know there was stuff going around that maybe he might be involved more in creative, and that's a scary thing too. But we'll see, and we'll really see if he does care about this to a degree. But as far as the WrestleMania debut, I can't deny it.
He had
Not
a
bad.
he had a rare Pokemon jeweled out. I don't know what number he said, if it was 200,000 or I don't know what the hell he said, but it was a Pokemon card like iced out in diamonds that he wore to the ring. I've never seen anything like it.
Logan Paul, enough said. Don't understand the guy. I don't think I want to, and I think now I even hate Pokemon even more. Okay. What I did hate though was a match I thought that was probably close to being really my match of the night, despite the way this build's been going, but it really has developed quite a way. And again, it really turned into a story I thought of revenge versus redemption because Becky Lynch literally nearly lost it as bad as a pop star celebrity that she came out looking like as Becky Lynch defended the Raw Women's Championship against Bianca Belair, who came out with the Texas State University marching band. Again, folks, she didn't really necessarily go there for college, but again, she has college background, Tennessee, so they're like, oh, we could pass this off. But overall, both these women brought it. I thought this was a very tremendous match. At the end of the day, Bianca Belair, we thought she was dead to rights after that big Beck slam on the steel steps, and Becky thought she was going to win via countout. A couple of great counters to the KOD, some nice near fall roll ups, and Bianca Belair even pulled out the 450 splash, shades of last year. Once again, came out short, almost had her own emotional type breakdown. Once again, Becky went back for the braid, but what's interesting about this match for Sasha, Bianca did not need to crack that whip. She was able to find a way to finally put Becky on her shoulders and hit the KOD and get the win 1, 2, 3 and claim a WrestleMania moment and gold 2 years in a row. Tremendous effort by both. What a run by Becky. Whether or not we get the hair versus hair at WrestleMania Backlash or these two are finally done with each other, which I think is a long shot because it's the only two they really built around the Raw Women's Division for. I thought these two really delivered when it came to their match. Your thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, it was great, man. Two of the top female competitors in the world. Man, I've been so impressed with Bianca, and I remember we are only about 3 years removed from when Sam Roberts said that Bianca wasn't takeover ready, which he still gets heat for over this day. And I think
Yeah.
she has risen to arguably being the top 10 in the world, female or male. I can't put female, male, both. I'm pushing it, but definitely top 10 female for sure, I think.
I agree.
And that's a hell of an accomplishment. And to have two gigantic WrestleMania moments like this year and last year, she's on a rocket, man. And she's definitely the future, and she's the present. She's the now.
She is the EST of WWE, and now she's on top of Monday Night Raw. She was on top of SmackDown last year until SummerSlam. We'll see now if history repeats, as SummerSlam, of course, will be in Nashville. Package is already available. Been watching Bianca and Becky very soon, but interesting tweet from Bianca. Bayley, she's the last horsewoman Bianca has yet to face. Ooh.
Very true. And Bianca's strong too. She is one strong individual.
Damn right. And again, Bayley, she's not gonna let the internet guess or like tease or rumor. She's pulling a Chris Jericho. She will let you know on her time. She's controlling her own narrative. And I'll say it again. In my opinion, Bayley is the most underrated of the four horsewomen of Triple H's RNXT, especially what she
Oh
did
yeah.
during the pandemic era. That should not be forgotten. That should not be denied. And again, she should thrive. And I hope they truly appreciate that and remember that when she comes back. She got shafted last year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, yeah. Bailey's my second favorite horsewoman, but that's another conversation for another day.
Fair enough.
I like I like Bailey, and listen, if any of the viewers are into the dirt sheets, then you've already heard that it's rumored that Bailey and Asuka could be added to this tag team women's match tonight, and if not, they could possibly debut tomorrow night. So, if you're Bailey or Asuka fans, you got something to look forward to, maybe.
Suspension of disbelief definitely goes a long way, but whether or not you disappoint or you actually, overexcite and deliver for the followers, that's another thing. But at the end
Yeah,
of the day, most of those people, they just do that because they just want the reaction. All about the money, publicity. Hello, Vince McMahon.
true.
But I digress. Speaking of Vince McMahon, talk about moving on into the next segment. Seth freaking Rollins came up with all the drip in the world, including a choir of his own, Shades of Chris Jericho, and burned it down at WrestleMania as he waited to see Vince's opponent of his choosing. Quiet suspension of disbelief. Nothing going on. Lights go out. A little bit of lights. And then lights go out again. Pyro explosion all the way up the ramp. I will admit this stadium, this arena set, at least it's got some personality to it. I approve. And then you hear the quiet, subtle tone. Wrestling has more than one royal family. And it is indeed official. It was the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, who made his debut in this persona and the WWE and returned to WWE on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. And he and Seth put on an absolute fucking clinic.
Wow.
Yeah, enough said. Wow, dude, your moments from this match,
Just
Mark. Good
oh,
lord.
my thoughts. It was just surreal to me. It was almost like I was in the Twilight Zone. I didn't real. It never sunk in. It still hasn't sunk in to see what I've been seeing. And let me tell you, when they did the entrance and the lights went out, and I seen everybody's lights, whether it was their cell phone or lighter, it almost for maybe 2 seconds, I really thought it was about to be Bray Wyatt. For maybe like 2 seconds, that's what I thought. But when I seen Cody come out, man, it's just it was like I was getting AEW versus WWE, but I wasn't. But it kind of was. It was. I really enjoyed it. It was the whole thing was just. I felt like I was in the Matrix, man. It was wild. It was just wild to see visually. It was crazy.
Yeah, the American Nightmare tattoo and all down straight kingdom in the true normal form. Finally, once again, reigning out of the AT&T Stadium, and Seth Rollins' moment became literally a nightmare as these two literally fought tit for tat from a pedigree to an avalanche inverted suplex and Falcon Arrow to Cody Rhodes pulling out all the classic stops, including an homage to the natural, his brother, Dustin Rhodes, and of course the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, with the flip-flop fly and the bionic elbow, and not one, not two, but three daggum crossroads to finally put down the maniacal messiah, Mr. Monday Night, the drip man himself. I'm, of course, talking about Seth freaking Rollins at WrestleMania, and Seth was out there to say, welcome back home, this is my company, bitch. Okay, it might have been this whole time, but Cody has arrived. And this Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, is going to be the most hungry and determined version of Cody Rhodes you've ever seen in the WWE. And I will say this right now, because I saw this on a Facebook post. People think that Cody was made in one night versus all the time in AEW. Uh-uh. Cody Rhodes was dashing, was grotesque. It was smoke and mirrors. He was a legacy. He also was, of course, smoke and mirrors. This Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, was not made or defined by WWE. He was made and defined by independent wrestling. From Ring of Honor to Impact Wrestling to the formation of AEW to his time in Bullet Club, and if he's Bullet Club still for life, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. WWE did not make Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes made the American Nightmare. Cody Rhodes made himself. And as far as you Marks, IWC, toxic internet community, go to hell. Everybody in this industry has the right to choose and do what they wish to, and we have no right to judge whether it's good or bad. We do not define their destiny or their legacy. We simply choose to follow it. And if you think your opinion has any merit truly to what they can do and what you think you see out of them too, you are foolish because nobody's right, not even the wrestlers themselves. But at the end of the day, everyone's responsible for their own choice. And CM Punk put it bluntly and best, and so many others, including in AEW. And Cody himself wishes Cody Khan AEW the best. At the end of the day, you just want wrestling to thrive and the ones you care about to succeed in it too. And all I gotta say is congratulations to Cody Rhodes and welcome the American Nightmare now to the WWE 2. A hell of a start and kickoff, Mark. Enough said, simple as that.
Man, and to tell you the truth, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see Cody do what the unfinished business that he's here to do. And I listened to his media scrum, and he could be blowing smoke up people's asses or however you want to put it, but he said he didn't do it for the money. He didn't do it for a piece of creative. He came for unfinished business. He could say that he might be here for his dad, or maybe he needs to do it for him now, but if he does it for himself, then he's kind of still doing it for his dad. Either way, he was able to do that last night in Texas, and he said that was one of the most memorable nights of his life, and I'm happy for him. So I'm looking forward to maybe him doing something that his dad never did, and that's becoming the WWE champion.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head because the one thing Cody has not done, and that his dad never done, that Dustin never done, there has not been a rose to be a world heavyweight champion in the WWE. Cody right now might be the very first and only one to ever do that before he officially closes the book on his professional wrestling legacy. All the best to Cody Rhodes. Brandy Rhodes, I know she's happy. I wish nothing but the best to the Rhodes family. One of the most immortal, legendary families in all professional wrestling. Respect the family name. That being said, let's see what here. Hey, Chris. Hey, guys. Hope you enjoy WrestleMania Sunday tonight. And if you do a simple take on night 2, can I join the show? Oh, absolutely. Again, I'm back to work because we all got to go back to reality tomorrow morning. But whether it's some point on one of these nights, I think the best thing will be some point Friday. We'll try and get together and let's do a simple take on night 2 as well. We'll also have the fallout on Monday Night Raw. And we'll see if this Raw to WrestleMania finally reminds us why this should be the biggest Raw of the year because they've been lacking that for the last 3 years at least. Let's see here. Seth's line to Cody, total classic. Think if they had the chance, putting him up against Okada, would love to see that in an NJPW ring. Well, we have seen Cody versus Okada, of course, on American soil at one time on one of those G1 USA shows. But Tyler Black, and by the way, this was Tyler Black versus Cody Rhodes. This was not just Seth freaking Rollins. Let's just get that out there right now. Tyler Black versus Okada, that's definitely a match of what ifs. But if there's one thing I've learned in 2022, and Undertaker said it best, Mark Cowboy said it best, never say never. And at this point, anything's possible in professional wrestling too. Good God Almighty, what a moment. This was fucking awesome. All right. Well, what was kind of awesome to a degree, except for maybe the ending under circumstances, you tell me, was what you think would be your proverbial main event of the evening. The Women's Royal Rumble winner taking on the champion for choosing. I'm, of course, talking about Rowdy Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. And boy, did this feel like a brutally aggressive blood feud that broke down to a fight. And at one point, I thought it almost was going to be a shoot. Because these two had nothing but close range combat on each other and tried a mat game to take each other's leg or arm out. In the end, though, again, also, might I add, Little Nate was the referee for a Flair match. Hey, surprising, Mark, right? Not really. It was a ref bump where you got spirited next week and just a sense of urgency and false winning Charlotte Flair did tap out. Still, doesn't matter. Still tapped out to Ronda Rousey, but the ref was not there. At the end of the day, the ref didn't see that. Flair capitalized with a big boot, and despite how many crazy turns, including the first time ever, and I've never seen this before, that counter to the figure eight, and I gotta believe that was the highest arc I've ever seen on the figure eight in my life by Charlotte Flair had a Ronda Rousey counter that still baffles me to this day. She is truly a submissions master. Hello, Shayna Baszler. I definitely had help for Shayna Baszler when it comes to the leg game. Remember, folks, leg moves are a scramble. Charlotte Flair won. Charlotte Flair retained the title. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was these ladies. They, like you said, I felt like it was on the verge of a shoot myself. I mean, they were being really competitive. I really feel like they were definitely wearing their feelings on their sleeve last night, which I mean, you could say rightfully so. As far as the buildup wasn't that great, but I just feel like there's a sense of competitiveness between Ronda and Charlotte, and I just feel like this story is far from over. The finish was a little clunky, a little whatever, but I'm looking forward to seeing if this is where it ends, or if Ronda's gonna revisit this at maybe WrestleMania Backlash, which I feel like we might be getting.
I keep saying it. I feel like at this point, you saw what they were going for. The only thing left for these two to do is go one last time and get the true submissions match. Because unless you make an opponent pass out between these two, I don't feel there's no way you can stop these two from feuding at this point anymore or have a definitive victory. Yeah, Charlotte Flair, she won on the grand stage of all. She won at WrestleMania, but it was just, just impromptu miscalculation by Ronda Rousey and a big boot. It wasn't like it was anything special. It wasn't like it was definitive victory. She took advantage of a moment and escaped with her title, in my opinion. These two are far from done with each other, and nothing's settled.
I want to suggest this real fast. Do you think that with the unification that we're getting with Brock and Roman, I don't know if they're going to make it one belt or not. Let's just say right now it's still left up in the air. Do you think maybe a possible storyline is for there to be a rematch between Charlotte and Ronda, and then Ronda wins the title, but then we end up getting Ronda versus, oh, that's right, Bianca's the champion now. That's right.
Yes.
I was gonna suggest title for title. Maybe we end up ultimately getting unificated women's titles and men's titles, which we still could do. But I was trying to throw in the fact that maybe Ronda could finally get that story between Becky that we thought we were gonna get in the beginning that we didn't. But
And again, that's something they've never visited yet in singles action. And right now, there's opposite brands, so there's no way of them really converging. So it's really going to take
right,
a lot of interesting booking to make that happen. But you see how long it's doing title unification for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. They've been going at it now for what, 7 years? So again, never say never. But as far as Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte go, that's probably right now maybe a year and a half, a two-year hiatus, or 3 year hiatus, excuse me,
uh,
because Ronda Rousey, of course, went off to be a mother. But again, right now, something tells me at some point we're going to get Ronda Rousey as champion facing Becky Lynch as challenger. And Becky will be heel, and Ronda maybe finally will be legit. Because in my opinion, Ronda does not need to be a babyface. Ronda just needs to kick ass and break arms. And she nearly took Charlotte's here. Hell of a match, though. According to Christopher Ross, he says the opening match tonight is the Raw Tag Team Championship match. Whether or not that's true or false, I don't know. And Mark, I will send your predictions very shortly. Maybe while you talk about this, because why I thought this would be the end of the night, right? We end with the WrestleMania main eventer, the Royal Rumble ending, winning. We maybe have the, like what the F moment, like WrestleMania 31 to a degree that Charlotte Flair won. We go off the air. Because what? In my whole 30 years of professional wrestling fandom, never thought I would be able to even commentary call. And stay tuned for the Jeff Meacher Never Folks. I'll be doing play-by commentary for the night. Thank you, Jeff. God bless you. I literally became JR because the main event was not this match. It was a segment that devolved into a match that made everybody in their childhood literally have an out-of-body experience in the brightest way possible, especially if you're a fan of professional wrestling from Texas. As the KO show was our main event, and Kevin Owens, he ripped into that crowd, what chance at all, and really waited to see Stone Cold come forward. And when he did, Kevin Owens just, okay, just let it all in, let it all in. I have a feeling KO was keeping kayfabe because this is Kevin Owens in the ring with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This guy could retire tomorrow. He's a made man. He's done it all. He's had his dream, in my opinion. I feel like this is the reason why he resigned, if nothing else, Mark. Because once they finally
oh,
got in the
absolutely.
ring, and he got Stone Cold to sit down. Yes, they had a light conversation, but he talked about maybe he should be more like him. They talked about the injuries to both their bodies, but Stone Cold, he's more damaged goods and properties than Kevin Owens. Oh, and let me also just lightly allude to, yes, they did show the Hall of Fame class last night as well. Again, congrats to The Undertaker. Greatest Hall of Fame moment in my life as a fan. Going back to this though, they had a light conversation. We had all the whats. He called him, "You stupid son of a bitch." And of course, KO, he's not a guy to talk. He likes to fight. So he didn't want Stone Cold simply out here for a conversation. He wanted a confrontation. And so, on WrestleMania, in Dallas, Texas, in front of 80,000 fans, 19 years away, KO, Kevin Owens, challenged Stone Cold, Steve Austin, for one more match where he talked about it started here and now I wrestle my last match here. I'm just going to let you talk the rest of the time once I say this. We had Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a no holds fucking barred, legitimate referee ding ding match. Mark, please talk. I can't stop smiling.
All I can say is that it was incredible. Like you said, it was almost like an out of body experience because it's something that we've seen so much in clips. We watched them when we were younger. We've seen Austin in clips and footage that they show yearly, and it's just like he was here. He was wrestling a wrestling match in front of our eyes in 2022. And this is the thing: outside of the stomps, I think everything else looked good. And the stomps weren't even that bad. You could say the stomps were a little slow, but the strikes were fast. He took a few good bumps. It was just it was enjoyable. And back to not to piggyback, but to go back to the beginning, Kevin Owens said, "I tricked you." He was like, "I wanted to get you here because I'm gonna whip your ass," or whatever he said. But he said, "I tricked you, and now we're gonna have a match." And of course, Austin accepted. And back during the match, they went everywhere. They went to the back. They came back. He took a couple of suplexes on the ramp, and
Ouch!
yeah, and it just, I was really impressed with his endurance because even after he got on the mic and he wasn't even breathing hard. I mean, just like you could tell that, within 5 minutes we were getting a "You still got it" chant. Okay, so I don't think that this wasn't an embarrassing moment for him. This wasn't something. That's why I almost feel like they didn't label it a match because they weren't sure. He didn't want to be like a Shawn Michaels. He didn't want to tarnish his last match because he kind of did go out kind of in a good way in the main event of WrestleMania. But
Yeah, sort of.
and I feel like he wasn't 100% sure how this would go, and if it failed miserably, he didn't want this to be his last match. He didn't want this to be what people remembered him from. So he went into it kind of blindfolded, and I think he prepared months in advance, and I think he got his endurance, his fatigue was up, and I feel like he did great, and I think he surpassed what I had thought was we were possibly going to get, which was nothing but a couple beers drank, a stunner, and a 1 2 3. We didn't get that. We got at least like 10 12 minutes of a Stone Cold match, and it was a no holds barred match, and it was incredible.
Yeah, and then we had the ultimate beer bash that we ever can remember, and Corey Graves had an about experience when once again Byron Saxton. I mean, come on, you got stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. Byron Saxton, was smiling that whole time while laid out in that ring in that ridiculous suit. And we just had a hell of a good time, and I just kept chanting Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. We at one point had Kevin Owens. I guess he's never operated an ATV. Had a hell of a ride, literally on Stone Cold's four wheeler. He got suplex, like you said, on each side of the stage. He stumped a mud hole in and walked it dry. We even saw Kevin Owens hit the stunner on Stone Cold for the ultimate what the F moment where Kevin Owens, you fought, nearly had the win. And of course, we had the true innovator of the stunner, Stone Cold Steve Austin, after KO brained himself in a chair, rebound off the ropes. Shades of Kyle O'Reilly from War Games. Stone Cold hit the stunner, and this wild epic clash that went from the audience at moment we'll remember for the rest of our lives, it was over. And I absolutely
Yeah.
freaking loved it. What a way to capitalize night one. I would say a mixed bag to say the least when it came to definitely the storytelling and the booking and the hype going in. But when you figure about Cody Rhodes and Seth, when you figure about the Raw Women's Championship, when you figure about the suspension of disbelief for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and this ending right here, not necessarily the match, but the moment, I thoroughly did enjoy night one, and it did exceed my expectations.
Absolutely. You got to think of the memories that are played over and over, like Hulk slamming Andre, or Stone Cold with the blood running through his teeth when Brett holding him sharpshooter. That moment with Austin and KO, and that moment with Cody, that's the stuff that we're going to see 20 years from now. And that's what kind of put this night one, over the top for me. And it was enough powerful moments to where everything else, it didn't even matter. It made my night. WrestleMania night one did what it was supposed to, and now I'm looking forward to night two. And yeah, it's going to be a hard show to top.
Yeah, no kidding. I think Aaron Riff and Jeff gave it like a B plus. That means this has to be an A minus. Good luck, guys, especially with the card. Before we move on tonight, so let's see what we got here. Chris Ross says, "Hey, the opening match tonight is the Raw Tag Team Championship match." Now, here's the thing. Hello, Jeff. Is that the opening match of the main card? Because here's the thing. Apparently, New Day, and again, they got shouted, but they understand why it's Stone Cold. Damn it. New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston take on Ridge Holland and Sheamus with Butch in the corner. I wonder if that's going to be pre-show, or do they actually find a spot to squeeze it into the main card? I don't know. And when you think about how much promos was actually done night one versus the in-ring action, again, it's almost like they really don't know how to balance it. Again, when you think about that, last night was literally 4 hours main card and 2 hour pre-show, well, nothing. So, again, we'll have to wait and see. Before we go to night two, hey, since the Raw Tag Team Championship match opening the show and Roman versus Brock going to be the main event, can you guys see the return of The Rock to show up tonight? Well, we're going to talk about that and so much more, because with that being said, time for a simple take on what we are going to see on what should be, according to branding, again, we will judge it ourselves, a stupendous WrestleMania Night 2, as we have finally a match 7 years in the making, headlining it too, along with all of this crazy, maybe entertainment madness, or maybe human car wreck waiting to happen. Of course, talking about this, as we have Tag Team Championships on the line. We have Pat McAfee in action. Johnny Knoxville is going to show us what it means to be a jackass. A Clash of the Giants, an absolute epic classic with Edge vs AJ Styles. The women go after the titles, and maybe Mark has something going on with another team. Maybe he's onto something. And will this truly be living up to the hype as the biggest WrestleMania match of all time? Winner take all, championship unification. I still say WrestleMania 25 was bigger than this for Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, but I digress. But let's go ahead and dive into this and think about maybe, okay, you actually could potentially do this. So, Raw Tag Team Championship, since Chris brought that up. Again, RK Bro, we talked about it. It's the most over at right now, most entertaining at in all of WWE. And in this tag team division where Street Profits got ultimately embarrassed in an RKO frenzy by both. Will they finally show what it means to be heel tonight? Could it lead them championship gold? Or will they just, sit on the sidelines? Maybe cost Alpha Academy here? Will we finally get the one-on-one traditional tag at WrestleMania Backlash? Is there something more here that meets the eye? You can't trust the Viper. Can you trust the Bro? Because Randy Orton dropped his shield. He did say friend. Mark, your expectations on this Raw Championship triple threat?
Man, I don't know. I feel like if there's going to be a turn, I feel like tonight it might happen. I feel like Randy was really pushing that whole friend thing the last week or two, and it was clearly obvious that that's what he was doing. And I feel like WWE is so heavily booked that they don't do stuff or throw stuff out like that for no reason. I mean, I guess you can say clearly sometimes they do, so don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, like,
this is the WWE we're talking about.
Yeah, but this was truly highlighted. A lot of people will tell you that Randy's having more fun than he's ever had in his whole life, and that Matt Riddle is finally his friend. And is he though? Like, is that really what's going on between them? I feel like there's a lot more there, and I feel like you said you never got to trust the Viper, and Randy's going to be Randy. And some would say, you know what, it could be Riddle. Riddle might be the person that said, you know what, I'm not in your shadow anymore. I've been carrying the whole team the whole time, or however they want to do it. Could Riddle be the one that turns heel? Either way, I feel like if something's going to happen, it could happen tonight. But they're doing so good in merch. They're one of the most over teams in the company. Do you want to break it up right now? I mean, I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm not really sure, like, which way you go with this. So, in my opinion, though, again, it's one of those things like, do we see the inevitable breakup? Do we see Matt Riddle surprising the hell of us all and making himself go heel, bro? I just don't see it at WrestleMania. Again, there's too much stock, I feel like, in the entertainment value, which is what Vince sells more than wrestling. Entertainment value. Entertainment value in RK Bro. I feel the champs are going to pull it out tonight, and that's really all I got to say about that for now.
Yeah,
Uh, okay, so moving on from there. Mark, how many similarities can you make to the words anything goes when it comes to a match in wrestling? Is that not like a no DQ? Is that not like a no holds barred? Is that not like maybe a false count anywhere? Is that not like a no disqualification? I mean, I get it. It's Jackass. And honestly, Jackass, anything goes when it comes to what you do to your body in the name of what you consider comedy. And Sami Zayn, he's out to prove maybe there is a conspiracy against him. Is Sami Zayn about to face his biggest conspiracy, losing to Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania? What do you think is going to come from this? I feel like entertainment circus of a showcase.
absolutely. I'm looking for jumper cables, dumpsters, light bulbs. I'm looking for forklifts. I'm looking for absolutely everything, and I feel like Sami Zayn is going to come out of it looking. I mean, he's going to be a champ. He's going to be a total pro. But they couldn't have a better person to work with as far as a celebrity goes, especially a green one like Johnny Knoxville. Because as
Yeah.
far as what he's done in his past, he's almost like a human. What do you call those things? Crash dummy. So like, I don't think anything's going to hurt him. And when you have somebody like that you can work with, there's a lot of stuff you can do. So I really feel like it could be a good match. And you know what? There's actually been a lot of social media build to this. Like Sami Zayn showing up at, I don't know if it wasn't the Oscars, but it was some type of movie premiere event that Johnny Knoxville was there. And then Johnny Knoxville showed up on, and what he flew a plane with Sami Zayn's phone
Sami
number.
Zayn's phone number on the flyer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've been doing a lot of stuff. So I feel like they probably got a lot of stuff planned for tonight. It's going to be entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, I just wonder if the Wee Man comes out. Will Sami Zayn have some random dude in his corner? Will the whole cast of Jackass Forever be out there? And what will be our ending scene? Will there be blood? Will there be body mutilation? Will there be. Where one thing for sure, I sense this is going to be absolute insanity. But regardless, entertainment, hindsight's 2020. It's like comedy, it's subjective. So we'll truly see what this is about soon enough tonight. What I am curious about though is this slow build, weird build around a selfie and maybe Vince McMahon's protege as Pat McAfee gets his WrestleMania moment, only with 2 matches under his belt and both were under NXT, and only one was under a singles encounter. Can Pat McAfee impress us on the grandest stage of it all and leave a lasting impression without a selfie and overcome Austin Theory? Austin Theory, though, there's a lot of potential to him being in the future. Paul Heyman, Guy Scott, former Evolve Pro Wrestling World Champion. And again, they're taking a lot of stock in this guy. He's literally in the office or literally in the corner of Vince McMahon. So I don't know at this point. I mean, with Pat McAfee more on the side of commentary, and we've seen how commentary versus wrestler feuds have played out to a degree in the past. I'm kind of a little bit torn on this too, but honestly, based on maybe the potential quality in both athletes, this match could be a sleeper. Your thoughts on this, though? I feel like Pat McAfee's going to punt him in the head.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a bad match. And the thing about it is, it's not just your average celebrity. Like Pat McAfee has been wanting to do this forever. This was his number one dream, was to be a pro wrestler before he was a NFL punter.
Right.
I mean, excuse me, NFL kicker. I'm excuse me. So he's had a couple matches in the past, and he's worked real hard. He's got his own ring that he's got at his house, that he trains and works hard. And he's been a fan first and foremost. And he's right there doing some of the best commentary work that we've got out of SmackDown in a while. Because I really enjoy hearing Pat. I listen to his show like every day at 12 o'clock on YouTube. So I truly feel I'm a fan. So I really feel like he's going to do good. I don't feel like some people were like, oh, you're giving the spot to Pat. There's people in the back, Ricochet, that's got the Intercontinental title that doesn't have a match on WrestleMania tonight. Why are you giving a match to Pat McAfee? Like, I get all that. And some stuff you don't understand, but I'm just taking this for what it is. This is the cards we've been dealt, so that's what I'm rolling with. So, and I'm saying that I feel like the Pat and Austin Theory I feel like it's going to be an okay match. And you got to think, Theory is representing Vince out there. So
Yes.
if he's got to go out there and show his ass and prove to him that Vince ain't making another bad decision. And maybe he's worried about the consequences. Maybe he might feel like Vince might drop this kind of support if he loses. So I don't know if Vince will get involved or not. We'll have to see. But I feel like it's going to be another one that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to I feel like where you set your expectations and what you think the outcome might be. And again, right now, I'm kind of up in the air on this, so I'm gonna just see what happens because I know what Pat McAfee's capable of, and Austin Theory, he's pretty darn good in singles action. I mean, he had a match with Finn Balor, and we could probably go into a tangent about respect your mid-card workhorse championships. What is wrong with you, WWE? But maybe we'll save that for the day two simple take that I think we'll do later this week. And Chris, stay tuned for more on that. Okay, so with that being said, looking at the rest of the card here, speaking about in-ring workers, speaking about potential possibilities, the WWE's current juggernaut, Omos, who has now been taken off his feet before Monday Night Raw and is currently undefeated in singles action, he contends now with the WWE champion of last year's WrestleMania going in, the Dominator, back from injury. I'm, of course, talking about Bobby Lashley. It almost feels like to me that right now, Bobby Lashley necessarily needs to win to establish that identity, but Omos needs this match to really put forward his brutality, not just in his height or his stature. I feel like here, Omos is out to prove a point that I'm more than just a presence you see in the ring. I can bring it too. Do not take me lightly. Again, it's one of those things where I'm like, the irresistible force meets the immobile object. I feel like you can kind of say that about this match. Your expectations about this?
I don't really like it. I feel like they booked themselves in the corner because one of them has to
Exactly.
lose. And this is what
Well,
I'm worried about is they've put a lot into Amos with the build and the time that they put him with in a tag team to AJ. So and now you got to think he's been booked so dominantly. Are you going to sacrifice everything you've done with Amos to put put everything behind on Bobby Lashley? Because you got to think he's coming back on his return. And if Roman wins, a lot of people were suggesting, well, it'd be different brands. A lot of people were suggesting maybe a possible Bobby Lashley. Yeah, but a lot of people were suggesting possibly Bobby Lashley being a top baby face. And if that's what's going to happen, I don't think you're going to bring him back to lose. I don't know. I just feel like they just booked themselves in a corner, like I said. And I don't think that Amos is going to lose here because you'll be kind of sacrificing and throwing away everything that you've been building. And I don't think that's the right move either.
yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. Again, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen WWE book themselves in the corner. I mean, let's be honest here. That's common nature, but also this is WrestleMania. Remember, this is the same showcase that had Braun Strowman and a kid beat the bar for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I'm just saying, Vince McMahon, he will do anything he deems is such good bleep. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
though, I just want Lashley to really bring back that dominator persona and maybe go after the title, whether or not it's a title held by Brock, a title held by Roman, or a new title. Because again, as we learn, neither show will not be without a main world championship title. And I really think you gotta
Yeah.
consider Cody Rhodes to be the flagship bearer of Monday Night Raw at this point. But I digress. That being said, you want to talk about putting yourself in a corner? How about just putting a bunch of people in a hodgepodge where the Knockouts Division Impact Wrestling has more context to their teams versus the four teams here? At this point, though, you come down to who you want to see get the WrestleMania moment. And I will admit, the little girl that did the Rhea Ripley thing, that was cute. That popped me. I get it. WWE reaches out to the children, inspire the generation's future, young ladies and men and all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But here we are. We got Carmella and Queen Selena defending against three impromptu teams. We got Sasha Banks and Naomi. We got Natalia and Shayna Baszler, newly added by WWE official Sonya Deville. And I wonder if there's more of an agenda to that. And then you got the other team on Monday Night Raw in the newly formed Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. How bad do we want to see Liv Morgan thrive, though, is the question here, because we all wanted to see maybe her beat Becky at day one, and she came pretty close with the Oblivion. Rhea Ripley, not the best to run as far as tag team partners go, but of course Nikki ASH, and maybe that's why she's not involved at WrestleMania at all. Sorry, Nikki the Cross. And then you have the former SmackDown Women's Champion of last year, the blueprint of SmackDown, and a former tag team champion herself in Sasha Banks, with Glow herself, Naomi. Both these women look very hungry. Both these women want to literally bring prestige and identity to these tag championships. And then you have what probably is the most technically sound and violent duo, realistically wise, fine tuned in the ring in Natalia, leader for generations of the locker room, highly underrated in my opinion, and the woman we want to see thrive as champion and dominate the WWE when it comes to the women's division, Shayna Baszler. This is a hodgepodge, but again, I look at these titles, I think about they're more of a focal point on Monday Night Raw for some reason. So right now, I'm thinking Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, they might surprise us. Honestly, when I look at these three teams, Rhea and Liv might be your wild cards here because you don't think maybe these two can be a dynamic duo. I mean, basically, what's the WWE line? Can they coexist? I feel like Rhea and Liv can and surprise us, so I'm actually going with them. But give me your expectations on this match and as far as the teams go.
No, normally I would have just considered this match just filler, just so everybody gets their spot. But the thing that makes it so important is it is WrestleMania, so you know that to each one of them ladies, this is the world to them right now, and they're gonna go out and give it absolutely everything. They're gonna try to create a moment, and just because of that situation alone, I'm interested. I'm invested at that point. So as far as the teams go, I like your pick. I don't even know why. I think I picked Sasha and Naomi to win. But now listening to you, I feel like Liv and Rhea have a good shot because you got to think those are two of your top. Uh, I guess they're baby faces, baby face feet. I don't know if you
Yeah.
consider Rhea a heel or however you want to put it. But those are two of your top ladies. I mean, they both challenged for the top title in the company, and now you put them together. You would think they would be able to beat you would think they would be able to become tag team champions, but I guess we'll find out tonight though. But I did pick Sasha and Naomi though.
Well, I feel like Sasha Naomi is the favorite because Sasha Banks, hello. And also, she is a former women's tag team champion in her own right with Bailey. Naomi, people just want to see Naomi succeed. We've seen the hashtag push Naomi, Naomi deserves better. And she's been in this freaking storyline with Sonya Deville trying to stop her in every way possible to the point people are thinking Sonya Deville could be the next Stephanie McMahon. Oh boy. And honestly, that's what kind of inspired the Sonya Deville official character in the first place. And when I look at Shayna Baszler and Natalia, when it comes to how fine-tuned you are in this ring, you can't have two better in-ring technicians than those two. And now they're just thrown together in a
Right.
team? Natalia was once tag champions with Tamina, and Shayna Baszler was tag team champions with freaking Nia Jax at one point. So yeah, they're no strangers to tag gold, but again, this is out of nowhere, and I keep thinking that the Naomi narrative is going to continue. If Sasha Banks doesn't pull in Eddie Guerrero, by the way, we just had the Evil special. If you watch it like me, and you know Sasha Banks knows how to be a villain, and she's heavily influenced by Eddie Guerrero, who lies, cheats, and steals. Wasn't maybe Natalia and Shayna Baszler put in here maybe just to screw Naomi at the expense of the official decision of Sonya Deville? Someone tell me the famous Sonya Deville and Naomi is not over, and that could play a factor in here too, and that's another reason why I went with the Raw team. But honestly, at this point, I am putting more stock in Liv and Rhea and Sasha and Naomi than Natalya and Shayna Baszler. And that's sad to say, because again, it's just everyone's been put in this spot. But like you said, you make the best of the moment you're given. At the end of the day, these women are going to prove why we deserve to be on this card, and you're going to remember this for us. And personally, I just really hope Liv Morgan finally gets her WrestleMania moment. Kind of like how Zack Ryder surprised the world at WrestleMania 32. Why not
Mm-hmm.
make another moment here at AT&T Stadium? Liv deserves it.
Yep.
All right. So at this point, I think we pretty much only got our two. In my opinion, both these matches are worthwhile being called your main event. And right now, you have one of the best professional wrestlers of this generation versus probably one of the best sports entertainers of all generations. As a renewed, darker persona, Edge, and I still can't believe he changed his Metalingus theme. I still was shocked by that. Very curious what his entrance is tonight. Takes on the phenomenal AJ Styles. Right now, Edge calls himself the benchmark, the mountain. He is that standard that you come up against me, you have to bring your best. I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to make you a better you. And today is your judgment day, AJ Styles. AJ Styles, he has nothing to prove, all right? He's already phenomenal. He has a career that will not be matched by anybody. Some would say Kenny Omega would surpass him, but that's a whole other story. That being said, AJ Styles, last time he was here, he faced Chris Jericho in his WrestleMania debut. Came up short. Does he have a curse maybe here at this stadium? Does AJ Styles get it done here maybe? This match right here could go either way, but looking at the narrative, you think about Edge, ultimate opportunist. Now that he's gone full heel, we're going to see a lot of that in-ring psychology come into play here too. I think Edge might surprise us and surprise AJ Styles too. Your thoughts on this match?
Um, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. This is a bucket list match. This is one of the ones that for maybe the last, I don't know, 5 to 8 years, people are like, you got certain dream matches or bucket list matches, whether they're two competitors in different promotions at the time. You just at that point when this match was being made, Edge probably couldn't never wrestle again, and we were probably thinking, man, I would have liked to seen Edge and AJ Styles just one time. And you know what? We're getting that tonight. That's why I said this is a bucket list match. So I feel like it's gonna be a really good match. I feel like Edge is gonna win. It was rumored that possibly Edge could be getting his own heel faction, and it's been rumored that Damian Priest is gonna be involved in that. So I mean, I feel like that could be a good fit. But either way, ultimately, AJ Styles match, WrestleMania, this is big time, and I can't wait for it.
In my opinion, AJ Styles is out to prove a bigger point than Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, two men he's been in the ring with. And again, if you gotta follow AJ Styles and Edge, good luck to you. That's all I gotta say about that. And ironically, when I think about this, you look at the experience of these two men. You figure out both these men, they have been all over the world to a degree in different ways. AJ Styles has won championships all over the world, former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, former Ring of Honor Champion. No, he didn't win the Ring of Honor title, excuse me, botch. Former WWE Champion, former United States Champion. AJ Styles has done it all except got that big time singles WrestleMania moment. His biggest win at WrestleMania was a singles match against Randy Orton, and people forgot about that at 35. Yes, he successfully defended the WWE Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34, but if you're a New Japan fan like me, when you think about WWE and New Japan, the WWE match fell very flat. So honestly, this could be AJ Styles' biggest WrestleMania match to date, and he might be out to prove a point here. But right now, I look at the narrative more so than the actual wrestling here, which I know I'm going to get, and I just feel like Edge is going to surprise us because he is the ultimate opportunist. Having Damian Priest as a new Edgehead, though, and whatever this society might be, well, considering his short fuse temper since losing the United States Championship, there honestly might be more stock in Damian Priest doing this than going after a title that came and be on WrestleMania. But I digress. But I guess we'll all wait and see soon enough. That being said, let's see what we got here from Elizabeth. Edge and AJ Styles going to rock so loud. Feel like now AJ has to win because Edge is not the same Edge I saw last year. True, but sometimes you need to evolve if you're going to try and thrive. Sometimes when the same thing doesn't work, you gotta really do some rethinking. Hello, Jay Lethal, and see what it brings. So I don't know. And again, Edge's identity, ultimate opportunist. Enough said. And now that he's gone full heel, and AJ apparently has reminded him of who he is, you think you know me? Well, we're going to find out if AJ Styles knows Edge enough to out-wrestle and outsmart him tonight at WrestleMania. Alrighty. Well, Mark, again, since WrestleMania 31, I've been saying it. Who's been controlling the narrative, in my opinion? That is Paul Heyman. As, ladies and gentlemen, I bring now forward to you the biggest, as far as billing goes, WrestleMania match of all time. Championship unification, winner take all. The WWE Champion, Brock Lesnar, taking on the head of the table, the Tribal Chief. Acknowledge him as the longest reigning Universal Champion of the modern era. They are the ones. He's wearing the bloodline. Roman Reigns. Now, I've talked enough about all these matches tonight and all the participants. This guy's wearing the dang shirt, and when it comes to these panels, I let my guests be the main event. So, Mark, the floor is yours. Take it away with this narrative. What do you expect to see tonight? And do you actually have a winner at the end of this fight?
Man, this match is kind of touchy for some. Some people just they feel like they've seen it too many times,
That's
and
fair.
to those ones, I just don't see it because this is Farmer Brock. This is the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. As far as I'm concerned, these are two people that have never stepped foot against each other on a WrestleMania stage. Arguably, they're doing the best work of their career. I
I
mean,
agree.
most people. So at this point, this could be an entirely different match. And you don't think? I mean, I would like to think that out of the 50 writers that are in this room, that they at least one of them said we've had this match before. So I feel like we're gonna get a little different aspect. We're gonna see something, and I don't feel like this Paul Heyman story is done yet. And I'm not 100% sure if he's really loyal to Roman, and a big question is who's Roman going to leave with tonight. And a lot of people would say, hey, you know what, Roman's the future. He's going to be the one that's going to be here for the next 10 years. He's going to be the one that's going to be standing over, just like he did at Madison Square Garden. He's going to be standing over Brock with both titles, and that's what's going to happen. But is he though? I mean, if Heyman gets involved and has been with Brock this whole time, and he completely swerves us here, is Roman going to be standing tall? Does Cody get involved here? He said he wanted to make a splash and he wanted to become WWE champion. Does he get involved? I mean, there's so many different things that could possibly happen, and I'm really looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, I really feel like Roman is going to end up winning it. Point blank, I feel like Roman is going to be standing tall with both titles, but I just don't know if that's going to be the last thing we see. I feel like there's going to be a whole nother chapter to this after the bell rings, and we'll see what happens when that happens. And I guess we'll find out tonight.
Yeah, again, when you figure about the way this match is going around for the third time, some people have called it a Stone Cold versus Rock mentality. How ironic when we figure about The Rock, too. And yes, Chris, we're going to refer to your question in a moment. Because, again, it took The Rock 3 times at WrestleMania to overcome Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I recently rewatched WrestleMania 19 in that match, and it took not one, not two, but 3 rock bottoms. And for Roman Reigns, it literally might take not one, not two, but 3, maybe even 4 spears for all we know. They might even try to surpass that rivalry, that match, that saga, that legacy that The Rock and Stone Cold put down themselves. At the end of the day, though, this is Roman Reigns, the guy that was the guy in the Shield that Vince wanted to put forward, shoved down our throats. They faced off at WrestleMania 31 for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And at one point, you didn't know who was going to win that after Brock Lesnar was busted wide open, and Roman Reigns was literally laughing at Brock Lesnar's face, the beast incarnate, might I add, after spearing the man in the next week. And then we got the cash-in of the century with Seth Rollins, and that kind of put this match on the back burner. You didn't know which way to think about it. You go a few years later back to WrestleMania 34, where this is trying to be recreated, and Roman Reigns, you think, has grown and will finally surpass the Beast. And not only did they get booed out of the building, and Roman Reigns got bludgeoned, literally by Brock Lesnar, spilled blood in the ring. Brock Lesnar won, and he threw the title of Vince McMahon. Then you go all the way now to here, and we face the pandemic, and you have Roman Reigns finally being more himself, and you've seen how his acting career has enhanced his character presentation. And you have Brock Lesnar. The chains are literally off. He is being himself. He's having fun. He literally
Fun.
has redefined himself. He has reinvented his identity to love basically what he's doing right now in professional wrestling. And literally, this is now the proverbial babyface versus what has become the ultimate unstoppable heel in all of WWE. When you think about how this started versus what it's become, the narrative has turned a complete 360. But the one thing that I really take away from the Raw WrestleMania and both men's promos is Roman put it point blank. He has done absolutely everything to do in this business except beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. What this is going to come down to is who Vince McMahon wants to put more stock in going forward, not just for Money in the Bank in Las Vegas, not just for SummerSlam in Nashville, Tennessee, but for WWE's future in general, in its entirety. And honestly, after what we saw at Madison Square Garden, and you saw that picture of Roman Reigns holding those 2 titles, it brought back the old Brock Lesnar, reminding us, though, that Brock, he's nobody to take lightly. And yes, Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble. Then Brock Lesnar won the Elimination Chamber due to the Bobby Lashley injury circumstances, which I still feel like would have had some sort of change in the identity of this match here too. It almost feels like this wasn't meant to be title for title when you figure about also they're going to add a title no matter what to the brand that does not have a top tier title champion too. Whoever wins this is not going to be working both shows, which I think would be overkill in general. We see now Brock Lesnar become more of a weekly mainstay, so you can't also hold that against him too. It's not so much about travel anymore. He literally is doing this thing basically every week. And then Roman Reigns, again, he literally controls the narrative. He's the guy on top. He is the one, and we acknowledge that. So the only other factor you got to think about here is Paul Heyman. Master motherfucking manipulator. He screwed Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship and resided back with the head of the table. He literally said, I will only continue to work here if I can continue to work with Roman Reigns. And we've seen Brock Lesnar can carry himself. And honestly, I feel like Paul Heyman knew that to a degree too. Honestly, I don't know how to really interpret this match besides WrestleMania 19. And if you're really trying to build The Rock versus Head of the Table, a battle of the generations of the family at WrestleMania Hollywood, how fitting. Looking at that long-term storytelling, something tells me here you have to give Roman what he hasn't done yet, and maybe the crowd will finally react the appropriate way to it too. Somehow I got Roman Reigns winning this as well. I feel like he just needs to. But that still leaves the question, what does that do about Brock Lesnar? Does he go away? Does he go back to his former ways? Do we revisit this WrestleMania Backlash? I know WrestleMania Backlash is a showcase of rematches, but this is not a match I truly feel like we need to see anymore. Again, Rock and Stone Cold last very time was WrestleMania 19. This is a three-tier WrestleMania saga. It needs to end here. Point blank simple, period. End of discussion, exclamation point. And in my opinion right now, it feels like for me, that Roman Reigns should be the guy to be the winner in the end too. I just don't know what they do with Brock Lesnar, and that's a scary thought. Or is this ultimately what Brock Lesnar wanted to do in his entire career, and maybe wanted to go out too? I mean, Brock Lesnar's what, near 50, I think, or something like that. And you think about longevity, age can be a bitch. So again, right now though, how do you go against the bloodline? I think Roman has to win here too. But Mark, what about Brock? What's next for Brock? We both picked Roman. What's next for Brock?
This is what I'd like to suggest, and this is, you're right, because this, it's not going to happen a fourth time. This should be it no matter what. So in order to do that, you can't leave a story open like maybe Paul turning on Roman and going with Brock, and then it ends up backfiring and Roman wins anyway, because there's still going to be a little, like, they're still going to be bumping heads over that. So
Right.
how about this? What if Paul Heyman, he ends up having a new Paul Heyman guy and takes out both of them? And then he's and listen, and then, which means that Roman will end up officially end up winning, and he'll go into his next challenger, while Brock will face the new Paul Heyman guy who showed up, and Paul said, you know what, I'm not dealing with either one of you. I got this guy now, and whoever that guy is, it lays him out, and Brock will feud with the new Paul Heyman guy while Roman goes on and faces his next challenger.
I mean, again, it comes down to, though, you look at the entire landscape of WWE and don't say Veer Mahan. Who in that company could actually be a Paul Heyman guy at this point? Paul Heyman's career has literally been defined by Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns for the last dadgum 7 years.
Uh, could you bring Cesaro back? He was a Paul Heyman guy.
I know he wanted to do more with Cesaro, but I truly feel like Claudio is done with that company for now because they wouldn't agree to the
Yeah,
terms of
probably,
his deal, and that's the reason why he left. But it's a fleeting statement to say the least. But that
probably
being
so.
said, that being said, as we're about to conclude, going back to Christopher Watt's last comment, if we do get that final, moment, that sign, that look of Roman Reigns standing above a fallen beast, Brock Lesnar too, do we finally get somehow a tease, a showing, a video package, the theme, the lightning strike? Do we see The Rock in some way show up too? Your thoughts on that? What's the biggest way you end WrestleMania this year? I think you have The Rock.
Absolutely. And you got to think, just because he might be contracted, obligated not to be doing moves because he's got movies and he don't want to get hurt before WrestleMania,
Right.
doesn't mean he can't show up and grab a mic and talk for 5 minutes. So I mean, that he's not going to get hurt doing that. So why can't you do a similar to a year in the making like we got out of Cena and Rock, and maybe Roman wins and he feels like he's reached the top of the mountain, but then The Rock comes out and he says, you truly won't be head of the table until you go through me. I'll see you in LA, WrestleMania 39. I mean, it could go off the air like that.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, when it comes to WrestleMania, how do you leave the crowd, especially at a two-night showcase? Last year, it was Roman Reigns standing tall, set behind him, pyro goes off. Why not pull a takeover, though? That logo shows up, if you smell, and the place literally becomes unglued because apparently they didn't sell out tonight either. The bottom line is this, though. At the end of the day, I feel like no matter what, all of the WWE Universe, all of Dallas, Texas, ATD Stadium, us included, will acknowledge Roman Reigns truly as the one top champion in WWE. Can you see the new Paul Heyman guy be Bray Wyatt if he returned to WWE? I know it was teased on Instagram, but there really is no contract. I guess Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns do have history, but that was kind of sold on something different. Again, about his daughter. And I feel like Roman Reigns is above that. So, honestly, no. Again, at this point, I feel Paul Heyman's going to finish out his career. Not as an advocate, but as a wise man for Roman Reigns. And that'll be it. That's my opinion. Considering how deep the roots with the Nally family go with Paul Heyman. We all know that for a fact. Do you guys predict New Day Sheamus as a partner? Forgot his name match yet. Only curious right now is who look at it. I predict New Day because again, it's on behalf of Big E. Simple as that. And what's the problem? It's on the
Yep.
pre-show because again, they could have been fanning last night. Well, that being said, Mark, we had a hell of a stupendous show here. I can't thank you enough, my friend. I have waited so long to do one of these things with you again, brother. So that being said, any last thoughts as we get ready for WrestleMania?
Any last thoughts? First off, I want you before you say your plugs and goodbyes, throw in the match that you're most looking forward to tonight. At all of them, because I definitely want to get that. So because I want to throw mine out, and it would. I know we just kind of just talked about it, but the Edge and AJ Styles, I'm really looking forward to, and that's my match I'm looking forward to the most. I'm really looking forward to see if they top night one. And yeah, I guess I'll shut up because the sooner I shut up, the sooner WrestleMania starts. So,
Well, I mean, the pre-show's on right now, but chances are they're probably just
oh,
talking a bunch of gibberish because literally the pre-show is on as of 12 minutes ago. So sorry, folks, if you do like hearing JBL, Peter Rosenberger, not Sean Ross Sapp, that actually would be more tolerable. Sam Roberts, Kayla Braxton, she does a great job. Jerry the King Lawler, random dude from the bump. Sorry. That being said, really, I got nothing else to say, and I agree with you. Again, AJ Styles, he's one of my all-time favorites in the industry, and Edge, ever since coming back, I've been wondering what will be his defining moment in his career, because since coming back, he hasn't even won a championship yet. So, again, Edge versus Cody, I wouldn't mind seeing that. But again, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Edge versus AJ is actually my match of the night, but narrative is definitely Roman versus Brock, and it has to end tonight.
any debuts tonight? Yes or no?
Oh, I'm gonna look at the card, think about everything. No,
It
I
could be
don't think they're gonna.
re-debuts. It could be
What?
re-debuts, whether it's Bailey, Oscar, any kind of new comeback, anything like that.
I don't think there's any reason for Oscar or Bailey to show up tonight. I just don't see those two being a tap into their feud and Bailey's being healed. I don't see none of that. I truly feel like they're going to put all the stock in the matches they put out tonight from the entertainment standpoint and the wrestling standpoint. If nothing else, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. They don't want nothing else to overshadow that because before that match, if anything tries to do that, they've already shot themselves in the foot. The biggest moment of the night has to be that
Yeah,
match or what happens afterwards. It's as simple as that. WrestleMania
that
38
works.
fun so far. Let's see how night 2 ends. And Noah, love your room. Talk to you all later. Going to watch some Japanese dramas right now. And I think I'm going to get ready to do my play-by-play duties for the Jeff Meacham Network too. So thank you all once again for tuning in to this Simple Man's YouTube channel and this fun Simple Duo predictions panel too, as we also discussed all things wrestling. Again, Mark, I hope you have a stupendous night with night 2. Good luck in predictions. And I've officially sent my match order and my picks to you as of right now. Good luck to Justin as we compete for the All Team Wrestling Pro Wrestling Championship. Hell of a competitor I'm going up against. I don't do promos. I just simply enjoy wrestling and do my best. Anything you want to plug, promote, and where can people find you?
You can catch me on all the team pages: Team WWE, AEW, NWA, and Impact, and New Japan, and of course on Twitter, Mark Lee Griffith too, and on the Meltdown, and of course right here on one of his panels with the No DQ Galaxy.
Now, there you go, folks. And then, folks, again, you want to know more about me? Know this. I am just a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it. God bless this industry and the goodness in it, but I digress. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I am Foster1916 for all things wrestling. And shout out to my ATW crew on Twitter. We just did an ATW View. It's on my ATW View playlist. It's also on Jay Hubert's Side 95's YouTube channel. So go check that out, too. You won't be disappointed. It's always a fun, engaging conversation with just a bunch of professional wrestling fans. right here on my simple YouTube channel. Stay tuned as me and Cindy G will be back to give you a recap of AEW Rampage, probably Tuesday night after AEW Dark, along with our thoughts on Cody Rhodes and so much more. And me and Jerry, and maybe this man right here, will be back to discuss Rebellion as well, as that's the next big pay-per-view coming up this month. As always, I'd like to conclude there are no winners, there are no losers, there are no bears, just fans with opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality, and just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. Simple as that. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Hit the bell notes if this video goes live on this channel. And hit subscribe button. Help me keep growing this community. Shout out to all 228 of you with me on this fun YouTuber creator's journey. It's not laying up anytime soon. This has been the most busy week I've ever had in my life in wrestling, just productions and other stuff too. So for Mark, Team All Elite Hitman Griffith, and of course his friend Ashley, because these two are a hell of a dynamic duo. God bless both of you. I am the Superman Noah Foster. On behalf of the entire professional wrestling community, I thank all of you for tuning in. Enjoy night 2 of WrestleMania. May it be stupendous. Come over to the Jeff Meacham Network. See me do play-by-play live reaction commentary with Jay Hubert, Sign 95, and Mikey Nichols, the Renegade, and Jeff Meacham for all of night 2. And we will be back later this week, me and Mark and Christopher Rotz, bringing you our thoughts on night 2 as well, and maybe the route to WrestleMania. Chances are it will be Friday, so stay tuned for more on that. But I'm going to bid you all now a fine adieu. Get your snacks, get your family, get your rest, get your hype going too. Get that blood pumping too. And I will see you all next time somewhere in Twitter or right here on YouTube. Take care. And Roman Reigns is the one. Acknowledge that. Simple as that.